Hello there, folks, and welcome. Welcome to Casual After Stream Oct, who doesn't have his green screen up back there. Which, because I don't have the correct lighting in the room, isn't even being used as a green screen right now. That's really something I gotta fix, but that's not really what this video is about. So, I hit level 100 on the Explosive Trapper in Hardcore. I'll go ahead and play the clip now. Alright, fine. 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 Did I turn the mic back on? Can you guys hear me? Yeah, mic's on. Okay, I was being a little mean there, yes. I don't even think I get it in the— Oh! It was that blue pack! Level 100, we did it! Alright, movie magic. The clip has just been played, and you're back here with me. And, I need a new build. And I've been thinking for a while, for a good chunk of level 99, exactly what I wanted to play next, because, well, there wasn't a lot else to think about. At that point, it's just kind of mindless grind until 100 happens, and try not to be so mindless that you die. And I decided to go for General's Cry, because I was really, really hyped about it, as once they announced it, and they teased General's Cry last league before the league itself actually dropped. And I never got around to playing it. I don't know what happened. Like, the hype was there, I was super excited, and then I went and played Earthshatter, which in theory is pretty good with General's Cry, and I never did it. I never tried it. I just did regular old Earthshatter stuff, and it was, I mean, it was good. It was fun. It was a good build. I love Earthshatter. Played it 3 times, but now it's time to actually make good on that hype for General's Cry, and I'm actually not going to be doing it with Earthshatter, surprisingly. I'll probably try Earthshatter. I want to try a number of different skills, but the one that looks most effective is Blade Storm. The numbers in Path of Building in front of you right now don't look that effective, but on paper it should work out well. Path of Building doesn't account for a few things. For instance, General's Cry attacks are counted as exerted. They don't get the benefits of exertion, so they don't get the benefits of, like, seismic, if that makes sense. But they are exerted attacks, which is important for a few things. It's important for things like these nodes in the tree that give increased damage to exerted attacks. It's very important if you do choose to go Berserker, because that more damage will apply. And the other thing about Blade Storm that does make it really powerful with this is each general clone gets its own storm. And so with enough cooldown and with enough duration to scale the general clones, Blade Storms, you can actually get some really, really good uptime, and thus a lot of storms out all at once, and get pretty significant single target, at least on paper. Still have yet to try this, and this is a bit of an experimental build. It's not a super serious one. I took my super serious build to 100. It's time to do something a little more weird, experimental, and something that I've not tried before. I've not played General's Cry, and I've not played Blade Storm, so it fits the bill. So briefly I'll go over some of the bigger points on the build here. We are a champion. I'm actually going for the Impale nodes. That's not really too surprising, and Conqueror, those are great, but I am going to pick up Fortitude as well. I want to do some bossing on this build, ideally, if the damage is there, and if you're bossing, despite the fact that I am going to have a Cyclone Castwall Channeling Desecrate to generate corpses, and I could just throw Fortify in those links, I really like the reliability of Fortitude on a build that wants to, like, play back from enemies potentially pretty often, and just, like, spawn generals that run in and do the damage for me. So while it would be more damage to go Worthy Foe, I'm going to pick up Fortitude just because this is still going to be in Hardcore. This is going to be in Hardcore trade. I don't think I mentioned that. The tree has an emphasis on a lot of life nodes, though not as many as I'd like. 189 is a little bit low for a duelist. I'm considering rewiring it some to try and account for that. It has this cluster setup down here, which I'll briefly show. It's got some decent fizz nodes on it. I actually already have the cluster jewels, so that's rather nice. I'm not going to have to craft these. It's got a medium cluster jewel that is probably the most important one in the build. It gives me both onslaught uptime all the time, because my General's Cry cooldown is like 1.5 seconds, and this lasts 4. That is pretty easy math. As well as intimidate 100% of the time on anything that doesn't instantly die. So very powerful couple of points here. It gives me a lot of value. You could also go for the Warcry node that gives you additional charge gen, and I might try and fit in another medium in order to accomplish that. That just gives you randomly power, frenzy, and endurance charges whenever you Warcry. It gives you like 1, I think 1 or 2. It has to do with the amount of power, and I think it caps out without like power scaling at 1 or 2. But either way, it gives me charges if I want it, but a little tight on points, so I don't know if I can fit that in. We've got a Thread of Hope over here, since we're going over the passive tree, that I actually really like for this build. These nodes are super important. Any Warcry CDR that we can get is super important, and they're really awkwardly placed. I don't really want to path up through here, I don't really want to go across there, but putting a very large Thread of Hope in lets me get most of the wheel. I do miss out on 12% CDR, but I get the best bits of it, while also picking up some life, saving some points pathing to it, getting some endurance charges, and saving 1 point picking up RT. So, saves me a few points and gets me a cluster that's very awkward to get otherwise. I think it's a pretty good thread. And other than that, it's pretty basic. You know, we get some Impale nodes, some more Impale nodes, we get life, we get more Impale nodes, we get axe stuff. Because, let's go look at the gear now. I'm using a Karowi chopper that I happened to make. You'll notice this is a hunter base without any hunter influenced mods. I was trying to make a weapon with decent PDPS and Warcry CDR, because as I said, any Warcry CDR we can get is really, really potent. But I alt spammed, and on the alt aug regal I hit Merciless and T2 attack speed, so I wasn't about to roll over that. And after multi-modding, we end up with a close to 800 DPS weapon, 780 or so, which is certainly nothing insane, but is quite respectable. We could eventually upgrade off of this, but this is a solid weapon to start the build with, and it's what we're going to be going with to begin with. The helmet is pretty important. You want +1 Mirage Warriors enchant. That one's really, really important, really potent. It's basically 25% more damage. Chest piece is just basic life. Great Old One's Tentacles might be in the build to help out with clear. It's going to be something that I figure out as I play it. Maybe I need these in order to actually have consistent clear. Maybe eventually we upgrade off of these onto an explode chest. I'm trying to keep things relatively budget, or gear that I already have, so that if I invest into the character, you know, this amount, say, and then I end up not liking the playstyle, I haven't wasted tens of exalts. And I think the gear that I have here is going to show me whether or not I'll like it. Life, move speed, importantly, also CDR. These are not going to be that budget to make, but they could be useful in a future build if I don't like this character. Min endurance charges on the jewelry would be great. We got some percent melee damage rolls here that maybe are shooting a little high, but it would be nice to get them. I do actually have a couple of touched rings already, so it should be reasonable to make those. CDR and the belt, this is another important one. I actually already have a pretty good belt too. I have a belt with roughly 90 life, T1 CDR, reduced extra damage taken from crits, and an open affix to craft res. Lion's Roar because it's a melee build, and those are cheap. And I am yoinking this idea, which I did not have, to use Kitaba's teachings from Nito Builds, whose video on General's Cry Shield Charge I will link in the description below. And I did want to play General's Cry before he released that video, and then he released it, and it had Kitaba's teachings in there, and I was like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. Why am I not using Kitaba's teachings? This is just a ton of free recovery for my build. So I threw that into the path of building, and I already have one of these laying around. So about half the gear I already have. The other half shouldn't be hard to make. Should be able to get it up and running in a day or two, and I'll get you updated on how it actually plays. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to hit that subscribe button. There'll be more content on the General's Cry Bladestorm build coming soon, and maybe it'll morph into General's Cry Sunder, or General's Cry Earthshatter, or General's Cry something else, if Bladestorm doesn't end up being fun. But yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.